distinguished senior diplomat and chairman of today's session, Janab Abid Hussain Sahab, the founder president of the Amity Education Group, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, the Chancellor of Amity University, Rajasthan, Mr. Asim Chauhan, the Vice Chancellor of Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Major General K.J. Singh, Director General of the Global Economic Forum, Ambassador Surendra Kumar, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, faculty members of Amity University, other distinguished guests here this evening, and students. I'm extremely glad to have been able to make it to Amity University this evening. At one point in time, a few days ago, it looked highly unlikely that I was going to be able to actually arrive here. And that is what Ambassador Surendra Kumar was talking about, because very suddenly we got news that the Union Home Minister was visiting J&K, and at such times it would have been impossible for me to be out of the state if he was going to be there. And originally his plan was to fly in this morning and fly out either late this evening or tomorrow morning. But some amount of discussion back and forth, for which I can't take all the credit. I think a lot of the credit has to go to some of the people sitting on the stage. The plan got worked out in such a way that he flew in yesterday evening and flew out this morning, which then gave me an opportunity to fly out with him and make it here this evening. So I'm glad that I'm here and I'm going to be able to spend a little bit of time with you. Just a thought before I start, and it's only for your consideration. In order to make sessions like this even more meaningful and to actually provoke a lot of thoughtful discussion and debate, you might want to make them off the record, because this is from personal experience that more often than not, when faced with a volley of cameras and media persons, people tend to revert to type rather than actually say some of the things that perhaps would allow for a more thought-provoking discussion and debate. So this is purely in the nature of something that you might want to think of for the future, because I believe from my own experience that I have found sessions where we are less worried about being quoted or quoted out of context, much more rewarding in terms of saying what we want to say, than sessions where we think, oh well, this is going to be on the front page of tomorrow's newspaper, so let me say something more important for outside than for inside. But this is just a thought for you to consider. I'll start with, which, again, I have nothing against the media. As a politician, the media are my best friends. I have to have the media on the absolute right side, because otherwise my message doesn't go out. But this was an aside for these sort of events. But anyway, from the list of topics that was given to me, I chose basic ingredients for peace, progress and prosperity. I want to look at the issues confronting J&K from a new angle. We always tend to discuss the issue in terms of a solution or resolution of the J&K issue, suggesting thereby that it has to be resolved in a give and take manner. Also, the focus of such deliberations invariably is on India, Pakistan and Jammu and Kashmir. To identify the basic ingredients for peace and prosperity is a refreshingly new perspective. It focuses on the people of J&K, how to ensure that they lead a peaceful and prosperous life. By looking at it from this perspective, resolution will be the consequence of peace, progress and prosperity, and not the cause. This is a big difference and will have a bearing on the nature of the measures that we take and initiate. Unlike when we focus primarily on the resolutions, wherein we can conceivably resolve the problem without changing the lives of anyone in the state. Will that help? Is that what we want? Somehow I think not. First of all, what must be clear is what needs to be done. To take the analogy of cooking, we must know what the dishes that we want to cook, and then the ingredients will automatically be decided. To my mind, this is the simpler part. To ensure peace, progress and prosperity, we have to create and enhance the stake of every individual in J&K in the political and economic system of the state and the country. The more difficult and complex part is how to do it. Just like the basics of education are the 3 R's, the basic ingredients of peace, prosperity and progress in J&K can be postulated as the 5 R's. And these are: restore the political structure, revive the civil society, reconstruct the economy, reform the government and rally the youth. I'll take each one individually. Restoring the political structure. Many of you may not be aware of the intricate and tortuous history of Jammu and Kashmir, and I don't intend to take you through all that, but suffice to say that in 1951, recognizing the need for accommodation, an autonomous status was accorded to J&K, as a result of which the state has its own constitution, flag and residuary powers. But between then and now, much of this status has been eroded. This has impacted everything from political discourse to personal conduct, from economy to emotions, from society to sensibilities, and from institutions to ideologies. A restructuring of the political arrangements is required neither as a sentimental sop nor as a concession to secessionist propagation. Autonomy for J&K has been designed to address genuine issues of identity, borders and governance in a consensual democracy. It prevents these issues from escalating and taking the form of nation, territory and statehood, which sow the seeds of secession. Restoring autonomy is not about creating a sovereign state within a nation, but it is about addressing and accommodating diversity, not only of identity, but also of economy and development. The basic contours of autonomy worked out in 1951 were designed to preserve the identity of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Today, returning some form of sovereignty is required to empower the people of J&K, not only to get a fair share of the national power and resources, but also to be able to withstand and benefit from the new economic regime of globalization. Reviving the civil society. Much has been said about the failure of successive governments in J&K and also the national governments in delivering the goods in Jammu and Kashmir. True as that may be, the fact is that Indian civil society as well as the local civil society of J&K has not played its role in bringing about peace and prosperity in Jammu and Kashmir. The political distancing of J&K from the Indian state is directly linked to the disengagement of civil society. J&K has never occupied the mental space of the Indian civil society quite in the same way as it has in the political arena. It needs to do so now. For the vast majority of people in India, it is either a beautiful place to visit or it is a dangerous place not to be visited. That's all. We have to find ways and means for the Indian civil society to engage with and own Kashmir, Kashmiris and Kashmiriyat. It is the civil society, more than the Indian state, that needs to introspect and start the process of engagement at different levels. I don't want to sound insensitive, but the fact is that during the recent Mumbai attacks that shook the whole nation, every citizen of India rallied around. This has never happened in the case of J&K, wrecked as we have been by tragedy after tragedy. Why? To a large extent, all of us, be it in Srinagar or Siliguri, have a stake in Mumbai, a national stake, a material stake, a business stake. But in J&K, all that the civil society of India has is some sort of an emotional stake. While we value the emotion, it is not sufficient. We need to go beyond emotional equity. To put it to you directly, how many of you would want to work in J&K, assuming that you had work offers from there? Maybe 1 or 2. How many of you would want to work in Mumbai? I guess all. That is what I meant by stakes. You have a stake in Mumbai, but not in Srinagar or Jammu. All it is for all of us is the government and civil society, and we have to build those stakes. An important ingredient is creation of stakes for and of civil society in J&K. The Indian business fraternity, for instance, must invest in J&K, of course for a profit, but in the process, they will have a stake in the peace and prosperity of J&K. To reconstruct the economy, One sure way to build stakes for all of the system is to ensure that the J&K economy is a vibrant one with high and diversified growth. The economy needs to be rebuilt, not just in terms of physical infrastructure that has been destroyed, but also in terms of its structure that is based on its own resources. Apart from reconstruction, the economy of J&K needs to be repositioned. For this, what needs to be done is to create the enabling environment and provide the right kind of public policy support, be it in infrastructure, skill development, or economic regulations. We must also adapt, indeed transform the economy to secure the benefits of globalization and the increasingly open global trading environment. The economy of J&K is faced with two distinct though mutually reinforcing sets of problems. First, the set of generic problems faced by most states, and second, the specific problems arising out of civil strife and militancy. The first set of problems has to be dealt with through a package of economic reforms, and the second set through a set of integrated reconstruction initiatives. It is through this that we can create self-sustaining jobs in the private sector with start-off help from the government. There is a huge skill deficit in the state economy, showing up as a major disconnect between what the current supply of trained manpower is and what the requirement of the market is. A key ingredient to bringing about prosperity is to improve the employability of the youth, especially the existing unemployed youth of Jammu and Kashmir. Given that J&K is predominantly a service economy, it is important to focus on the professionalization of services. Reforming the government. The basic idea of reforming the government is to change the mindset of the government. It is not in power in order to administer, but must be in power in order to deliver. The change that needs to be brought about is to move from a bureaucrat-centric mode of administration to a legislator-oriented form of governance. This will ensure that the administrative authority is made subservient to the development functionality of government. The rigid administrative system with overlapping of functions and lack of coordination has resulted in low working efficiency and directly hampered creation of a result-oriented, responsible, responsive government. The reforms have to be such to forge a scientific decision-making body and an unblocked and easy-to-monitor administrative management system that will optimize composition and improve working efficiency. This will transform the government into a comprehensive management system which will improve its ability to manage social and economic affairs of the state. This has to be done through an institutional restructuring plan for setting up function-based integrated administrative structures to improve and ensure efficiency in governance. And lastly, the fifth R, which is rally the youth. The generation mismatch between those who represent and those who are being represented is stark and serious. In such a situation, to expect the existing political express what matters to the nation's young, which is now a majority, is a bit far-fetched. Let us not forget the fact that militancy in Jammu and Kashmir was overwhelmingly led and driven by the youth. Like all of you, the youth of J&K sees very real problems ahead: social, economic, gender, and environmental. But in the existing political system, they have so far perceived no leadership on the issues that concern them. As a result, one finds that the younger generation is less politically engaged and exhibits less social trust or confidence in the government. My generation should not expect the establishment to address, let alone fix, the sobering problems that we have inherited unless we start participating in the nation's political process and learn to flex our generational muscle. The new leadership that has emerged in J&K needs a new following to be able to deliver, and this is a key ingredient. If the new generation is rallied to participate, it will bring about the minimization of the ethnic, class, regional, and ideological distinctions that have independently and collectively a major bearing on the core of what we call the Kashmir issue. It is not only about political leadership. Even as we see the confluence of youth in the political arena, a similar change has to happen in the business arena too. We need younger business leaders. Indeed, my whole premise is not about politics alone. It is about business, about the fourth estate. It is about thought leadership. It is my mission to fulfill the globalized aspirations of the youth of my state in a manner that is consistent with local social sensibilities. To be sure, the younger generation of Kashmiris is bicultural, a citizen of Kashmir and the world. It is the leveraging of this fact that will integrate Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of the country and the rest of the world. To be honest with you, I don't see myself only as the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. I see myself as the generational spokesman who is here to articulate the aspirations of the young men and women in their 20s, 30s and 40s and set in systems to fulfill these aspirations. Finally, rallying the Generation X is required to change the system. Only the new generation can put in place a new value system that is based on integrity, professional integrity, intellectual integrity, personal integrity, and ideological integrity. To conclude, I have identified the 5 basic ingredients. Surely, different political chefs will mix and match these ingredients according to their own political recipe and garnish it as per their favorite ideological cuisine. A bit more of political restructuring and a little less of economic restructuring perhaps, a smattering of administrative reforms and civil society initiatives. But one thing is for sure, it is with these ingredients that the final dish will be cooked. Thank you very much.